Look at this. Psalms 23, 1 and 2. The Lord, King James Version. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me by still waters. Man, so much of the world is going nuts because they're not living in God's creation. I believe it was Bob Marley who said that there is nature, which is God's creation, and Babylon. And he was very right. Everything that we've made is Babylon. It is, it's one thing to have your needs met and whatever, but where we've come as a society is just so far removed from what it was meant to be. And it's very clear when we see how insane most people are. The thing is, the Bible, that tree and that rock over there, that's pretty. It's growing right over that rock, man. That's pretty dang cool. That's a sermon in itself right there. But so much of the world has gone completely insane because they're living an unnatural life. I don't think we were meant to live in cities. I just don't. Not the way we've made them at the very least, but we're so far removed from nature. I still got a lot of hippie in my blood, and it's kind of easy to see why when you get out and you come hang out with me. You might just see, like, this is the kind of stuff I like to do. If I could find a church to pastor as just a little country church by a big mountain with a lot of woods, I would not be upset about that. But just look at all this. What y'all look at it, it's just so pretty, man. And like, when I do videos out in nature like this, I think you guys would probably rather see this than my mug. But this is what I like to do. The Lord has been so good to me since I accepted Jesus Christ, and this is my life now. I may not have diamonds and rings and all the finer things yet. I don't know if I will, but even if I do, I think it'd kind of be a waste. But kind of gaudy and just a waste. But man, what I get, I am so rich just because I get to go around the country doing stuff like this. I have food in my belly, obviously. I've been sheltered. My needs are met. And I just kind of let everything else ride. Look at all of that. And the thing is, people are just, they live the wrong kind of a life. And I'm not saying I got it all figured out. No, I surely don't. If it wasn't for the Lord guiding me in everything I do, I'd really be up a creek. But look at this, And now this may not be your walk. You may need something different than I need. But you see, the Lord, He gives us individually what we need. Maybe not what we always want, but what we need. And if you try sometimes, you just might find, to get what you need. And the Rolling Stones are very right there. But the thing is, not righteous, but they were correct there. But the thing is this is in a big way what I need. I need a lot of nature, man. because I'm a pretty stressed out dude. Always have been, for the most part. I've had a pretty rough life, and for me, getting out in nature and away from all the hustle and bustle of the big city, it's a blessing. I mean, you know, my life don't always look like this. This ain't it all the time. But when I get it, oh man, I cherish it. I mean, like, look, just look, dude. I mean, man, you know, I could go run away in the woods, never come back, and as long as I knew how to eat and whatever, I probably wouldn't care. If I had me a little cabin out in the woods, that would be life for me. But I don't think that's necessarily what the Lord wants, though. I think He wants me in society, you know, working with it, trying to make it, trying to help people come to Him. But I love coming out and appreciating His handiwork. I mean, like, I've got to see such beautiful places like Utah. Utah is so stinking pretty. When I was out there, they said, yeah, the Lord, He made everything else first. And then when it came to Utah, He said, well, we got a bunch of pieces left over from everything else. Let's just throw it in there. And that's a very true statement. Utah is just a little bit of everything. And it is really cool. You got desert, you got dense forest, you got mountains, you got some flat areas. I mean, it's just a little bit of everything, man. But it's really pretty. But the thing is like that, and I mean, I've seen desert, rainforest. The only thing I don't think I've seen is tundra. I mean, I got pretty close to it up in Wyoming. I mean, Wyoming was so cold. It was -6 degrees, and I'm trying to sleep in my car, wake up, breathing out cold air, which is, you know, that's strange because usually you breathe out hot air because your body's hot, but I was so cold when I woke up, and I think it was the Lord waking me up, telling me, hey, you better get moving, because if you don't, you're going to die. But the thing is, though, do I hear people? I hope not. I like being out here alone. But the thing is, though, I'm kind of a hermit, man. But like, yeah, so hopefully that wasn't Bigfoot or nothing. Look at that. That's pretty cool, man. That's just where they chop stuff up, but I still think it's cool. But look at that, because it fell over and it went right in the way here of the path. That's pretty cool. But you know, but I've just got to see a lot of really cool stuff. And you know, and in it there is work. In it there is some stressful stuff. I've also been to one of the worst hoods in America, and whatever. The place where I was staying, I'm hearing gunshots right outside of it, and ducking bed bugs and whatever. But ducking bed bugs. Just so y'all don't think I said a wordy dirt. I didn't. But yeah, so, but the thing is, though, is like, but then there is a good portion of the time where I get to come out and see stuff like this. I mean, for real. And I mean, it's just one of those things that make the whole dang thing worth it. That, and aside from the Black Hills, I have seen, to my knowledge, I have seen every mountain range in the country. And so much of this has just come. And I'm not telling you that if you come to the Lord, this will be it for you. It might not be, you know. You might be specifically designed to be in the city, and hey, maybe this is just Him like giving me a break before He has me do some really stressful stuff. Who really knows? Not me. But the thing is, though, is but he may have you do some really stressful stuff. And again, this may just be him giving me a break for a minute and, get me to cool my head off so that way I can think straight or something. Which, he's wise by doing that because I could sure use it. But it's kind of like, I get these assignments and in between assignments, and these assignments are extremely stressful. But in between them, I get to do stuff like this. Get to come out and appreciate what the Lord's done. And, it's you can almost see why people get so caught up worshiping the creation instead of the creator, which they shouldn't. They should lead them to the creator. But you can see why. The Lord, look at all the stuff he does. I mean, it's just really cool, man. Like, when we're kids, like, we all just want to be out in the woods all the time, or otherwise out in nature. And, dang it, got all these gnats coming and trying to come in my mouth. No, I'm not eating you. I'm not a frog. But, the thing is, though, like, look at this stuff. But, like, when we're kids, we have this draw to stuff like this. Like, we just want to be outside, and usually in the woods. Our imaginations can just run wild, and, it's because, man, when we're out here, there's something so natural about it. I mean, why they're, like... and so much of it is, and we get so tripped up when we try to get outside of it, when we try to, make these huge, humongous, disgusting cities that, are usually like highly toxic, radioactive sludge pits that give us a bunch of crap that we don't actually need. It's not natural, man. Like, and honestly, if more of us were out living the kind of lives that the Lord had made us to live, I think it'd look a lot more like this. I think a lot more of us would be out in these gorgeous environments. Just look, man. I'm fully enamored with the beauty of it. It's just ridiculous. And by the way, this is in Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania is probably one of the most naturally beautiful states that I've ever encountered. Like North Carolina or Tennessee. But the glorious thing is there's not as much, from what I've seen, tourist activity like Tennessee. Tennessee used to be really cool, but like when I was a kid, I thought it was really cool, but probably because I didn't know any better. But now it's just, Gatlinburg and Pigeon Forge, it's such a dang tourist trap, and it's like, it's gross, man. But so much of the world is set up around mammon, the covetous pursuit of, it's like an unhealthy pursuit of money, usually ill-gotten gain. It's covetousness. And it's not that trying to take care of yourself is a bad thing. Paul was a tent maker. The Apostle Paul was a tent maker. He told the early church, yeah, you should be working. And usually I do. When I'm not on the road for the Lord or whatever, wherever I go, I usually end up getting jobs and whatnot. But, or at the very least trying to, right? But the thing is like, there's nothing wrong with it. As long as, you're making your money in a good way, you're not hurting anybody or anything like that, you're doing good. That's the important part. If you're making money in a positive way, you're making an honest day's pay for an honest day's work, there ain't a thing in this world wrong with that, because Paul told the early church, he said, you should work so that way you don't lack anything and you have extra to help others out. Some people will say, oh, you can't serve God money. No, the word is mammon. It ain't just money. Mammon is an attitude. It is a spiritual condition, from what I understand. Because if that's the case, then that has a huge contradiction in the Bible and whatever. But that's why you need the King James Version, because it's the best translation. We got all these other versions really dropped the ball in several areas, and that's one of them. If God doesn't walk hand in hand with people pursuing money to take care of themselves, then we are all screwed, including the Apostle Paul. But it's to take care of your needs. And it's fine to have your needs met. It is. But the thing is, needs, not greeds. The Lord will supply your needs, not your greeds. And, all my needs are met. I mean, I get to go around the country doing this. And I don't suggest doing it unless you're called to do it. I was called by the Holy Spirit. And you will know when you're called. Okay, absolutely. There will be no question about it. The Lord will he will bend all of reality to get your attention if he has to. But the thing is, though, when I was in the world, I was just so stressed out. Like, I was, and really what did a big number on me is eating acid in Cincinnati, going through the city and whatever. Like, man, it was not just Cincinnati, but Dayton, Ohio, and Cincinnati, Ohio. Like, doing those kinds of drugs, doing coke in the city and whatever. It's like all these people, they think it's cool to get super stressed out and go to these shows, and the shows are really cool, but then you get out and it's like, oh, we got to avoid the cops and trying not to get robbed and whatever. And it's like, oh yeah, this is great. No. Hey, let's spend all this money just to be extremely stressed out, and then we'll be more stressed out. It's ridiculous. It's this vicious cycle, and it's like, well, you can kind of see why so many strokes and heart failure and stuff like that is like the number one cause of death, I'm pretty sure, in America. But you can kind of see why. And because, if you were going out and doing this sober, and you're just taking care of your needs, you're not worrying about your greeds, and really you let the Lord do it. You seek him and his righteousness first, and then he'll add all those things unto you. That's what I try to live, man. And it's so far, he has been very faithful to his word. More faithful than I can understand, more faithful than I have been. Because you better believe I've screwed up. But again, he leads me by still waters. His rod comforts me. He's my shepherd. He takes care of me. He protects me. While I'm out here on the road, I about went off of a cliff in Oregon, trying to cross over the Rocky Mountains. And because I was trying to avoid California, man. I really don't want nothing to do with California. These super liberal states, they're kind of a joke. So I try to stay out of them. There's just a high crime rate, high everything bad rate, and I'm good on that. And there's reasons for it, Moral relativity leads to the decline of civilization in a huge way. So this is why we need Jesus Christ. He is the rock. He is the standard, the perfect standard. And if we're not found in that, oh man, it's just so bad. And it's taken me a lot to realize that. But now that I do, I really try to live accordingly. But the thing is, I was trying to get over the Rocky Mountains, and I about went off of the other side of a mountain. And I was coming back down the mountain. I had to turn around. All these people were piled up and whatever at the top of this mountain. And in the Pacific Northwest, it rains all the time. So there's a really hefty ice sheet underneath the snow on the road. And so the thing is, man, look at all that. So, it got turned around and whatever. Some really cool people helped me and whatnot, and ended up, I'm trying to go fast enough to not get stuck, but slow enough to not go off the side of the mountain. Well, going too fast, go off the road, end up hitting a sign that was perfectly placed, sign cocks sideways. It pulls out the cement underneath it, and it works as an anchor to slow my car down and stop me. And I end up getting like 2 feet away from going off of the edge of this cliff. And the thing is look at that. So but it stopped me perfectly. When I got out of my car, I had to shimmy along the side of my car to keep myself from falling off of the cliff, right? And so, no, trail not over, no. Anywho, well, looks like I gotta go back the other way. But yeah, so, is there any other trails? Anywho, we'll find out later. But, thing is, though, but yeah, the thing is, though, is, yeah, I'll just turn back. No, there's signs, hang on. But, so yeah, I about went off the side of this cliff, though, and I had to shimmy across the side of my car to keep from falling off the cliff. And, the thing is, like, and it's cold out and whatever, and literally, like, within the minute of me doing that, here comes a sand truck guy. They don't have salt out there, they use sand. But the thing is, and then me and this guy, he ends up having a message from the Lord for me and whatever, and I had the money to get my car towed out and whatever, thank the Lord, and, you know, he supplied my needs for that, and he protected me and everything else. But I'll do a hand swap. But the thing is, though, is, he provided for me in such a huge way. Protected me and everything else. I mean, I could have died there, and that dude even said, in the sand truck guy, he said, man, you got, he's like, the Lord's watching your back for sure. And he had a word for me, I had a word for him, and it turned out to just be an overall good thing, man. But the thing is, though, the Lord has kept me. He is, wherever I've pulled in to sleep, I usually will sleep like church parking lots, on the side of the road if I have to. If I can find a pull off that ain't private property or something, I will. I don't look at a church as, if a church is private property, it's partly mine because that's my dad's house. But if I can't sleep in my dad's parking lot or driveway, that's pretty sad. But the cops never gave me too much trouble. If they'll ask me what I'm doing. Well, no, one time they did. But it was because the people in the neighborhood, wasn't the cops at all. But the thing is, though, you could tell the cops felt bad about it, but they were really cool. But but the thing is, I've been provided for in such a big way. And a lot of people will just see, like, hey, this dude's sleeping out of his car. You know, this dude's sleeping out of his car, showering when he can, eating whatever, whenever. And, you know, like, this dude, who would want to live like that? And it's like, yeah, well, this dude also gets dealt with by the Lord very regularly in a very personal way. And also, this dude has seen most of the country. You know, while you're over there squabbling for scraps and whatever, which I can't really say nothing. I kind of live off of scraps, but I don't necessarily have to squabble for them, though. That's the thing. Big difference. So, and I get to see a lot of this stuff. you know. And yeah, man, like, but I'm just saying, I think it'd be edifying if people spent more time out in nature. 'Cause in it, you can really see God's hand, and you can get in a little bit deeper with him. Jesus, would frequently go and ditch everybody, and he'd go up into a mountain and pray. And man, I can see why. You know, I mean, I can really see why, because it's like out here, you can really get a hold of the Lord and what he wants. I mean, you can anywhere, but like, it ain't him that has the problem, it's us. You know, we have the communication issue, because honestly, when we're in big cities and whatever and whatnot, we get distracted. We get caught up with all the other stuff. And, you know, not to mention, there's so much sin, that just blatant, unrepentant sin that surrounds you when you're in the cities. Whereas in the country, you can kind of just do your own thing, you know. Which I really dig. Like, in the city, you need a permit just to park somewhere and whatever. Out in the country, look at that, man. Out in the country, though, I mean, there's just a lot more advantages. And not only that, but, you know, you can find, if you know what you're looking for, you can eat out here. You know, you can go and, like, if you need to, you go take a dip in a river or whatever, pond, and clean off. And, you know, that's how people used to do it. You know, like, get your water from there, eat from the woods and whatever. Not that I'm saying I haven't done a lot of that. I've done some using the bathroom in the woods, but that's about it. I'm not skillful enough to know a lot of this stuff, but I'm just saying, out here, God has provided all of our needs. They are all out here. And the more we learn, which this is something I really would like to learn. I'd like to learn more about forestry and stuff. Just so I can do things like go mushroom hunting and foraging for nuts and berries and whatever, hunting, you know, stuff like that, becoming more self-sufficient. I think it'd be edifying for all of us to be more self-sufficient and not so dependent on the system. If the whole COVID media scare has shown us anything, it is that the mass public is very easily controlled and deceived. And if the media goes boo, they jump and they buy up all the stuff in the stores. They all go nuts and whatever. And then, like, not to mention all the rioting that's happening, whatever. Honestly, folks, I think we're about to see a huge shutdown of our economy. And I think there's a lot of people on the far left that would love to see that, because I think the people on the far left have left their loyalty to America behind and are working for communist China, as well as some other very rich people that are known for toppling governments. George Soros. But the thing is, and he's not alone, but the thing is, though, I better quit with that, or I might get, you know, end up being found committed suicide somewhere with, you know, 5 bullet holes in my head or something, you know, because everybody knows you can do that, right? But suicide. But thing is, though, is, yeah, man, like, but there's a lot of people on the far left that profit from this stuff, and honestly, I think they are blatant Satanists. I've heard about Luciferian marches and whatever, and a lot of people talk about Satanism, but they don't know about something far more nefarious, which is blatant Luciferianism. If you don't know what that is, you really need to look into that. The big difference between LaVeyan Satanism and just blatant Luciferianism. But Yeah, so the thing is, though, but everything out here is, you got what you need. If you know what to do. I think that's a big field of study. I mean, I would personally like to look more into when I can. I'd basically like to live like Ted Nugent without all the cuss words and everything else. I dig how he goes all of his hunting and whatever, and that man, you put him out in the woods and he'd probably survive. But whereas I'll probably die really quickly. But yeah. But this is God's country right here, folks. And I think we need to be out in it a lot more. I think if we spent more time, the big thing is praying. Praying, seeking the Lord. But man, you want a good place where you can get alone with the Lord, where everything gets real quiet. Come out in nature. Come out in nature and get to praying, get to seeking Him. Get you some exercise and some fresh air. I tell you, do you a whole world of good. Well, God bless, guys. Please be praying for me. I could always use it. And yeah.